Hey, guys.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? I need you to do the fucking audio, Eli. Funny how that worked out.
I knew that was going to happen.
What's up, man?
Yeah, what up, dude?
So this is Eli's idea today. I'm going to throw that out there. That way I just make sure that he gets complete credit for the absolute failure or success of this podcast today.
Right.
No, man, fun topic. Cold weather out today. You got some stuff, tomorrow. So it worked out. Do a little podcast today, man, and crush. We're somewhat reflecting on the year. Not quite there. We've still got some work to do, obviously, but some of the reflecting, is starting to pop up. You're in that fourth quarter. You're getting into like the Thanksgiving time, and you can't help but just look back at, hey, what's been working? What's not working? Why is it working? Where's the work ethic coming from? And certain stuff, man. And then just collecting your thoughts on a lot of different podcasts, just people and conversations and stuff like that. And that kind of drew the synopsis of today, if that's the right word, of just what, and we're calling the podcast Stop Reading, Start Writing. Credit to me.
It's a good name, bro.
I might have heard it somewhere. I don't think I did. Maybe someone said it in a sentence. I've never seen it as a title, so I guess we're going to claim that. Not that that fucking matters.
It's ours.
So it's just a catchy way, but really, what we're really trying to get at is just like what keeps you hungry, right? And especially when you've had some success, and maybe you can kind of rest on that, and hey, your year was good enough, and Tosh, I might even just read his post today, because Shawn Tosh had a great post today, and he kind of spoke about that, about your mind's mind. I think it was letter C or D on his post. So I'll read that here in a second. And Tosh, if you're listening, you don't want me to read it, I'm sorry. I'm going to read it. But that was good. But I think it's important, right? I think, just understanding, like, what does that mean? Like, stop reading, start writing. Yes, it kind of ties into paralysis by analysis. Yes, it kind of ties into the gratitude or just the dopamine that you feel by just talking about things and reading about other people's successes, which actually hinders you from creating your own, and you're kind of living through other people's successes and reading about it, to David Goggins and a lot of this. And you can kind of pinpoint those people, man, those people that just kind of regurgitate what they've heard elsewhere, but they're not exactly implementing it. Yeah. They're terrible at follow-up questions, right? So you can kind of feel those out. But more importantly, the people that are not trying to be like that, obviously this podcast is intended for, the betterment and for the people that actually want to get out there and do it, not just listen to us run our mouths, but just diving into, hey, what allows you to do that? What allows you to actually dive into processes and write your own story? In addition, I'm not frowning upon reading, audiobooks, reading books. It's not that I don't need to read at all or absorb any content. I just want to make sure that you're still understanding that you've got to get out there and apply and dive in and start creating your own content.
Yeah, and part of the thought process as far as where this topic came from today, naturally toward the end of the year, you'll kind of, at least myself anyway, I'll kind of look back and just kind of look at the year, and I'm like, all right. And I tend to put years in like little buckets. Like, this was the year of this, or this was the year of this, right? And this year for me definitely was a growth year for sure. I feel like I had many years of preparation and training and getting ready for the big game. Has pretty much been my whole adult life, right? Of just like getting in this, the groove, I guess, of reading, doing a lot of consuming, right? Reading and learning.
What were you reading? Because I also want to be specific, so not to cut you off. But like when you were reading, what were you reading?
I've definitely cut back a lot on how much I'm reading.
That's not what I asked you.
I'm gonna get there. I've definitely cut back a lot on how much I'm reading. But it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm not focused on a certain project right now, or taking on something new, or I'm not trying to acquire a new skill, I'm generally reading. Self-development as a whole. I like reading like Joe Dispenza. He has a lot of cool self-development books based on actual.
Joe who?
Joe Dispenza, I think is his name.
Okay.
He's got some cool books that are like self-development books, but actually scientifically based, and they actually focus on the science behind how your brain learns new things, and the science behind how what you think about is what you attract, and all that generic shit. But mostly I'm taking on some new project or trying to learn a new skill, so I'm generally reading things specific to that. So if it's,
I like that.
Yeah, if it email marketing, like when we first started doing leads with my real estate, my very first real estate team, cool, I'm getting a book on dialing and calling and converting and how to have these conversations with people, like just getting specific about the things that you're trying to learn or take on.
And that could be a little dangerous because I think some marketing books are just full of shit. You know, some of them are just a gimmick for the sake of being a gimmick because people will spend $1 on it. So I'm a little bit careful as far as business. And for me, I think some of my biggest reads are people I think that I can relate to.
Like autobiographies?
Is that what they're called? I don't know. Like
a book that's written about somebody?
Yeah, or just someone writing a book on their opinion, right? Not necessarily about their life, but their opinion.
Okay.
Like I know a lot of people enjoy Jocko, and his books, Extreme Ownership, and things like that. For example, not saying that's my favorite read or anything like that, but I think just finding things that I can relate to, so I can help visualize and just have some point of reference. So when I'm, when I'm taking that content in, it's like, hey, does it make sense? Does it not make sense? And then how do I apply? I'm big on like how I can apply things to my life. So I'm not your sci-fi guy.
Yeah, fuck. Dude,
I'm not
sorry.
that, and
that's as bad. That's as bad as watching TV. If you're like a grown adult, sorry, I'm speaking my opinion.
Hey, listen, that's not cool. Dude, Hold on a minute.
My opinion.
Eli's been smoking weed. And he's all opinionated.
Yes, but my opinion.
But let's dive into that just a little bit, right? Okay. Because it's like
it depends what you're trying to use it
you're
for.
You're
What's
thinking
the tool?
Well, but you're thinking that there has to be a tool. So you're thinking in the scope of like betterment. What about like people just detaching? And
that's what I'm saying.
That?
Yeah, it depends what you're using it for.
Dude,
it's a tool to
Kate
detach
loves
or relax.
Anime.
Yeah,
Kate loves anime. She's a gamer, and anime, they have crazy storylines.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff happens within anime, a lot more detail than I realized. And she's a gamer, like she loves playing Call of Duty and stuff. Like so. Hey, that's watching TV or playing video games, but she's extremely productive as an adult. So I think with what you're saying here is like, I think you're within the scope of like betterment.
If you're trying to read more because you're trying to be a better person, don't fucking read fiction.
Unless maybe it's Batman. I don't know.
This is another Will and Eli traded bodies.
No, I know what you're saying, but it is, I want to be careful because I do think it's important to detach. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not
whatever that looks like. Yeah. At the end of the day, like whatever that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. And I try to detach every day. I'm not the guy that needs a lot of vacations. I'm not the guy that wants to want a lot of vacations. Right. You and I are dialed in, man. We've had a lot we're going to be doing in 2020 and that we'll be speaking about today a little bit, just kind of touching on it a little bit, So I'm not the guy that's in a phase that needs 4 or 5 vacations a year, man. Like if I don't have one for a year, like I'm okay.
Dude, that sounds terrible, man.
It kind of does. And for me, the day-to-day reset, like being able to come home, enjoy my daughter and my son and throw some baseballs with my son. Yes, he's 14 months. He throws baseballs. It's phenomenal. Big old hands. Great kid. So when I can just put the phone down and detach, even if it's just for a couple hours, that couple of hours right there, and then maybe knocking out, like last night, I was knocking out some resolution stuff on one of our contracts and talking to that buyer's agent, and we're getting some stuff taken care of, and then boom, take a shower, go to bed. Phenomenal. I'm one of those guys of like, hey, I would much rather have that and be extremely productive and consistent than like overwork myself or get weird about stuff and then need 5 vacations to just unload a ton of shit, right? Yep. Like taking the trash out every day versus taking the trash out once a month.
You know why that is, man? That's also because we are in charge of our day today. I think there's people, the majority of people out there that do have a boss that are doing shit that they don't want to be doing, when they're working for somebody else. It is different, even when, you're just doing your 8 hours or whatever, your 10 hours, when someone is in control over your day, So I think part of like the need for people feeling like they need to vacation so damn much is that's the one time when it's like, hey, my boss can't call me and ask me to do some shit right now.
Yeah. So you think they need vacations more?
No, I'm just saying that might be why.
I think, man, you know what I think? I think a lot of people just maybe could get a better grasp on who they are. So when we talk about reading, right? Do you read or do you listen to audiobooks? Are you, like we talk a lot about this, like with our agents. Some of them think they know how to learn. They don't know how they learn. Some of them have been to college or high school and however long. Yeah. And they think like, oh, I'm a visual person. No, you're not.
You just heard that one time.
Yeah. Right? You're not even applying yourself into like maybe how you should do it. So in addition to like understanding how to be a good learner, and being coachable. We've talked about that before, but just understanding who you are, man. Like, hey, am I the person that's got to like detach every day for a bit?
Yeah.
Or am I the guy that's just going to go 7 a.m. to midnight and putting a break somewhere in there is going to give me an anxiety? I need to go until I pass out, with fucking Doritos all over me and my laptop's still open. Cool, man. Like, I don't know. And this also kind of comes down to like family stuff, right? Like my family completely supports how much I work and everything that I do. However, somewhat paying that back, paying that forward to them and being appreciative is, hey, look, not only do I feel good when I do it, but it's nice to do it for my family, detaching for a couple hours every day and every day consistent. Like we talk about fitness a lot.
Yeah.
Going into the gym once a week and trying to hit every body part.
Such a good point, dude.
Holy shit. Versus like going every day, hitting one body part.
Yeah.
But you're consistently going every day. That process right there, day after day after day, that's your compounding interest versus your once a month or once a week deposits that you kind of make when you go to the gym.
Yeah.
Same thing with family, at least for me, right? Like just compartmentalizing and putting that phone down for a couple of hours and giving the kiddo time and helping out with whatever's going on, that day after day after day, it is appreciated. Dude, and it does make me feel better.
Makes a huge difference on, how you feel better, your involvement in your kiddo's life, and then how your family looks at you. Because, dude, your family, I guarantee your family, like when they see you work so hard and you're busting ass every day, they're like, hey, we'd rather you work less. Like, we're all good making less money if we can fucking see you once in a while.
Yeah, fuck that.
But that's what you're doing by giving them a couple hours every day.
But I'm not making less money. You and I are on our way up.
No, right. But it's like just being deliberate. Like when people say don't have time, it's like you fucking have time.
You do have time.
Here's the thing. You and I aren't doing fantasy football leagues. We're not doing poker night. We're not doing happy hour bullshit.
No.
Those are things that the typical busy guy is busy doing in addition to his work, which makes no time for his family.
Yeah, or you're at work not working.
Yes.
Right? Like there's a lot of that too. But there's so much time during your day to get some things done. I think having a system and stuff like that, man, it's huge, right? And then so to get back into like that, so that's part of like writing, right? Like stop reading, start writing. As in, no matter what you read, everybody's going to have their opinion on what works or what doesn't work, whatever it may be, right? And there are people out there, the Gary V's of the world, and he actually kind of breaks it down, and he's not really like this, but he's like, hey, stop fucking watching Lost and do this, or hey, when you're in bed, do this. Like, yeah, he's giving plenty of advice on how you can create 18 hours of work during your day, but at the same time, you don't necessarily have to have that, but you've just got to have some type of system that works for you. Like for me, man, like there are some days where, we end up working late at night, or I'm on the phone, or I've got some emails that are just going to get done tonight, or we got a resolution. Cool, but consistently 18 hours a day, every single day? No, that's not true for us. Yeah. And we're still more than growing, and I'm okay not doing 18 hours a day. I'm more than okay of like putting in that extra, hitting that nitrous on the motor when it's needed.
Yeah.
But then also adhering to a system for the majority and making sure that I've got a handle on my shit. Yeah. And there's somewhat, of a systematic approach. Now, in addition to that, man, there's just some things within real estate you're not going to do at midnight, right? And then, yes, could you be working on some personal brand stuff? Could you be working on snippets? Yeah. But a lot of times we're able to get those done ahead of time. So for us, just working smarter, not harder, and just having that balance of, it's okay to put a ton of work in, but does it have to be 18 or 19 hours every day, all day?
Yep.
No, and dude, there's people we have significantly grown past that tell me they do that. You're like, you're full of shit, man. Like you're just saying that, like you're still out of shape.
Yep.
Your business hasn't gone anywhere, but you're putting in how many hours?
Yeah.
Then you must be the dumbest rock on the planet, then, right? Like that's just a whole nother podcast. And I don't want to be insulting, but then maybe you should be looking at a different approach for a profession, because if what you're saying is true and you've been doing it twice as long as I have, and you're putting in that much more hours, and you're still here with your body and your mind, and your business hasn't gone anywhere, I think you should go work for someone. I think you should be doing something different, or you're full of crap. Yep. And some of us see that.
That's actually going to be one of my next posts, man. Talking people out of being business owners and being entrepreneurs. Because, again, the whole fad thing, I think people are going to be getting into it, and they already are. People are already getting into it because they think it's what they should be doing, and you're setting yourself up for a long, miserable road that's full of debt and like a lot of punches in the fucking face that you may not be ready for. And if you're not excited for that every day, it's not going to be a fun 10 years for you.
No. And this whole stop reading, start writing thing, and, diving into like, hey, what makes you better, right? Like what makes you continue to stay hungry? If that's something that's challenging for you and you don't have that unless you have someone pushing you, being an entrepreneur might not be for you. Like some people we know, they do super well when they have a trainer. When they have a trainer, they will go to the gym and they will eat the right food because, oh, hey, I'm accountable to this person. I'm paying this person. You know, but if any time during the year they don't have their trainer and they're not training with their trainer at least twice a week, and they see them at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week, they fall off
the rocker.
Now, knowing your weakness is a strength, okay? Understanding where you're weak and then implementing control measures to make sure that you get it done, congrats. Like, that is a great thing for fitness, for whatever, right? However, like in the entrepreneur world, like it's a super dark, cold, lonely world at times. Even with you and I being partners, man, there's still a lot of stuff that you and I do separate, right? There's still things you're doing at home with our back ends, you know, that have nothing to do with me at that moment, but it's like that's your niche or that's what you're good at. I'm not there to like rah-rah you, man. You're going to do it, you know? So again, when people have that trainer and they do phenomenal when they're being supervised and held accountable, like that is awesome. But that's also a trait that like says, hey, you are a super good employee. Like you might be a great manager. You might be a great chief of staff, depending on how much experience you have, which is also like a great thing. However, I'm not sure if having no safety net and no one to be accountable to and everything starting and finishing with you, like I'm not sure if you're the right personality for that. So it goes beyond just having a work ethic and having a vision. It's like you got to, okay, where does that come from? And like, how do I adhere to that? Like, am I good enough with myself? Or like, yeah, your work ethic's great when you have a trainer, which means when someone's holding you accountable. Accountability meetings, right? Your trainer seeing you twice a week. Those are accountability meetings. If he's not seeing you progress, you've got to answer that. All great tools, but if that's still like something that you need, that's also very, you know, indicative of, hey, you're a great employee.
Which is all right.
Yeah.
Which is 100%
more than okay.
all right. Yeah.
More than okay, man. I've got a couple notes on here. You go ahead.
Well, yeah. So as far as like talking about growth today, you know, I think it's really important when we're going through these growth phases to always stay in that growth mindset. And I know that's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason because it works and it's real. And what does a growth mindset mean? I mean, constantly looking for ways, despite maybe already being or thinking that you're good at something, how you can improve and how you can get better and how, you know, you take in and how you're making yourself be the best learner that you could possibly be. And just always looking for new information because that new information will help you spot opportunities down the road.
But why?
Exactly.
But why? Not to cut you off.
Yeah.
Because you're saying a lot of great things, but I think those are the things people have heard before. Hey, constantly be learning. Hey, always be selling. Always be learning. Always, you know, yeah, cool. Hey, why though? So going into first person, why does Eli continue to still learn? Why does Eli continue to seek growth?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
For me, if we're talking why.
Well, I think that's what people might want to hear. I think I think as far as like just understanding, like always be learning, always be growing. Like, yeah, I get it. Thanks, Tony Robbins.
Yep.
I think people have heard that. I think what people need to hear more of is people that have found a way to do that.
Yep.
Hey, what's making you do that? What's making you tick?
So for me, that was like purely pain-based, dude. Just being fucking broke, having started about 4 different businesses by the time I was like 23. Of course, they all failed because I'm a stupid-ass 23-year-old starting businesses, and I'm going into debt over every single one of these businesses that fails, and it's a whole fucking mess. So
you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
It started off with the drive to just not want to work for somebody else.
And where did that come from?
Dude, I don't know. Yeah, I never wanted to.
Maybe we should talk about that.
I knew since I was 6 years old that
God, what?
that I didn't want to that I didn't want to go to college. I knew that. Like being a 6-year-old and like
you were 6 years old.
Yeah.
So
as soon as I learned what college is, I'm like, yep, no.
So you're sitting down with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Right? And he's talking to you about the Mickey Mouse Club.
I just knew that I was
like,
not,
hey.
Like it started with that. Like I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to go to college. I knew that. I didn't.
How did that thought go? I'm so curious about that. When I was 6, I was probably playing guitar with my boner that I didn't know was a boner and hanging out with Mickey Mouse.
Probably that too.
Right? Like
I just didn't like school, dude. So that was like
okay.
That was
so
let's see.
So even like when you say you didn't like school, like you didn't like kindergarten. Because you were in kindergarten when you were 6, right?
Whenever the fuck you're in regular school.
Don't get mad at me.
Whenever the fuck in regular
I'm
school.
trying to dive in so people can like
first grade, second grade.
Who doesn't like
is.
kindergarten, man? Like you're a
Yeah,
deviant.
I remember specifically like second grade, and it was probably because I changed schools that year too. That I was just like, yeah, I don't like school, and I did okay and all that. But again, I just knew from a very young age I didn't want to be.
How was that thought, man? I'm so curious. How was that thought like through junior high and high school? Obviously, that thought continued, right? Because you're still supporting that to this day. Like, what were you thinking back then?
I just knew that I didn't need to go to college. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew I didn't want to do that. And I'm man, I can figure out a way to make money. But
you got through junior high.
Yeah.
You got through high school.
Yep.
That's what I'm getting at. Like a big piece for me. So sorry not to use you as an example. Well, as a success story.
Yeah.
A big piece for me, man, is, you know, like, man, when you don't work a day in your life because you love it so much, or if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Like, cool, man. That's so catchy on like a commercial or the back of a T-shirt. You know, cool. But there are things about your days that you're not gonna like. Like there's parts of, you know, no matter how much you love something, like even baseball for me or whatever, like there was parts about it that were not fun. So what I'm getting at is, especially for our young audience, right? Like, hey, I knew college wasn't for me when I was 6. Yeah, fuck school. Hey, listen, I still graduated high school. Like I still got through what society would consider like the minimum, right? So what I'm getting at is like, that's part of what we're talking about today, staying hungry or staying on point. Obviously not a school guy, but you got through junior high, you got through high school. Why?
Dude, well, and here's the thing. Every fucking day, like I'm not the entrepreneur that like entrepreneurs in my DNA, like I need to do this or this is my oxygen, you know, like I'm not like that at all, dude. Like the type of guy that you said who can't take an hour off because he'll get anxiety, right? Not me. If I could like snowboard all day and like smoke weed, eat Cheetos, go lift, go do jiu-jitsu, I would do that 1,000%.
Yeah.
Therefore, every single day that we're building our business and we are like I'm literally doing shit every day that I don't want to fucking do.
Right.
But I know it's leading me toward this result. Not that I'm going to be lazy and smoke weed and do jiu-jitsu all day and snowboard, but just the ability to just have freedom, man. Do whatever business you want. Yeah.
Well, and just having the freedom of like, hey man, if I want to like get out of my own head for a couple of days and go snowboard, I do it. You know, like we've got a friend, Kenny, runs his fiber optic company with his wife, and like they grind. But if he's like, hey, I'm out for a day, like, dude, we're like on Facebook, and the dude sends me a picture of a truck or something. I'm like, where are you at?
No, we saw him like 2 hours prior. First of all,
falling asleep on the couch.
Yeah,
dude, bro, he had taken a couple like hard phone calls. Remember, he took a couple hard phone calls, and we're talking to his wife. We're getting some stuff done on the resolution, all good, and he's like, gets done with like a phone call, and then he's napping it. Yep. Apparently, that was a power nap prior to Uber taking him to DIA. Yep. Or the fucking plane leaving out of his backyard I didn't see, right?
That's
like,
funny.
Because a couple hours later, he's in Vegas at the SEMA Auto Show.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey.
That's so funny.
What? And I'm like, dude, was this today? Like, no invite? And he goes, hey, you just got to stay focused on selling my house. I'm like, yeah. Motherfucker, I get it. I get it.
So
but like,
funny.
What are you, E.T.?
That shit's hilarious.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, dude.
Just out, you know, but I... Dude, I don't know how I got there. Funny. Little bicycle over the moon.
Shit.
But he just bounced and like we've talked before, man, about just like getting away for the weekend, and I do like the freedom of that. Of like, hey, grind as much as you want, all you want, but then at any time, if I feel like I've got to pull the plug and just zone out, do so. You know, and I think that's the freedom. Like, I think entrepreneurship is just like a condensed level of like just adulting as well, because you like when you go to work, you're accountable to stuff, right? And like you have to go even when you don't want to, you have to. In the entrepreneur world, that's like moving out of your parents' house and you're on your own. Like you don't have to do anything.
That's a good point.
But if you want to be successful, you do, right? So there's things that I'm accountable to, but it's not a boss. But I'm accountable to making sure I take care of my family. I'm accountable to make sure I take care of myself. I'm accountable to make sure that I'm proficient and prepared for our agents. But that's got to come within me. Because there's nobody that's making me go when I don't want to. If I don't want to go, I just stay in bed then. Right? And there's been days where I'm like, hey, bro, I'm taxed out. Happy Friday. Suck it easy. Yeah, cool. And then we brain dump and we're good with it. But there's just a lot of like that self-motivation that comes with entrepreneurship.
Dude, part of
and
it,
you got to
like,
find what it is.
A lot of it too, and this is the part that I think is DNA. Like, you're really athletic. You're really good at the things you do. You're really good at. You're really naturally good at a lot of things. I like learning to get good at things. Like, that's kind of what it stems from. And business is just another one of those things. Like, it started off like, I guess with drums or whatever is kind of the first thing I stuck with long enough to get good at. Fitness, and now business. And it's kind of like business. I just want to get good at business. And when you want to get good at something, you're on YouTube watching shit, educating yourself. You're wanting to get books. You're wanting to actually learn the skill, right?
A commitment to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and when you want to do something, you're taking it serious.
Yeah, exactly. And you just, the desire for knowledge. Like, I really think it just comes down to just, I want to learn.
100%. Right. And I think that's bled into everything that we do. And it is, man. Like, we have, I've got this public speaking coming up, right? Like, we've been networking with some guys that are pretty substantial. And my first talk for 2020 is hitting the stage in New York. Yep. And that was cool to hear about. And obviously Eli's coming with me, and like, I'll be the monkey on stage in front of my mouth and whatnot. But there's a lot of
symbols like clapping.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Right? But there's a lot of business to business and relationship building. Like, cool, I'm on the stage for an hour and a half. Awesome. But there's going to be things after that and things before that, business to business, with the guys that are, have invited us out to build that relationship and continue to grow, because it'll open up other doors for more. So obviously, Eli's coming with that. But man, I'm so motivated about that. And it is contagious, just finding your competitive nature. So I think finding yourself within whatever you're doing. Like, I've got to find the Marine or the baseball or the competitiveness of being a cop and finding a bad guy, whatever that tenacity I have, that fuels me. I got to figure out a way to do that in business. So what's my next endeavor? Like, not bringing anybody down, not shoving people or stabbing people in the back on my way up. I want to build people on my way up, but I've got to find like that competitive nature for that next relationship. Yeah. And it's a chess game, because you don't want to just go forcing business. Like, it's got to be with the right people. So it's very strategic. So what I do like about business, which is different than most things we've done, there are some things with the Marine Corps that were very similar, like a battlefield or certain stuff, man. But like in business, and I relate this to, like, let's use like a video game, like Minecraft.
Sure.
If you go super far left or super far right, for our generation of video games, at some point you hit a wall. Yeah. And like the code just doesn't go any further. Go back the other way, right? You're like, okay, so within this parameter, build your little houses and yada, yada. Like, within business, man, there are no rules. There's etiquette and law. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm getting at. But there's no, like, rules of who you can talk to, who you can't talk to. There are no walls, man. Like, this is an unlimited battlefield, unlimited potential, unlimited risk. Yep. So there's a chess game to it, and it's all about relationships and being true to yourself while doing some promotions and different stuff. But I love just the dynamics and the layers of business. It's so deep. It's a lot more complex than most people realize.
It is.
And it makes you proud to be successful at it, because you start realizing why most people are not successful at it. So I get like that competitiveness out of me. I'm learning how to apply that productively to business. So that's one of my points. Well, that's what keeps me. Dude, that's one of the things that keeps me going.
When people start to look at business and entrepreneurship like a skill set like that, right? And I think when you look at it like a skill set, you kind of look at it like golf or something, or basketball, like something you just like, when you look at it that way, you understand you're not going to be good right out of the gate. And guys, there are a lot of nuances to running business that you just wouldn't think of. It's not just setting up your LLC and putting an ad on Facebook and then selling a product. There's just relationships and communication, and there's a balance of not getting walked on, but then not walking on people, and knowing who to let in and who to keep at a distance. And then
momentum, dude,
momentum.
We're talking to you on a podcast. This podcast was not planned. This was not something you and I started day one.
That we also don't make any money on, and we put a lot of money into, we put a lot of time into.
Yeah. Well, we don't make any money directly on.
Yeah.
So
correct.
for example, right, like going to New York, that's a paid public appearance. Okay. However, right. So no, we have no sponsorships and we're making no money on our podcast. However, it's a platform that allows us to scale who we are. It's long form content, so people can get a feel of who we are and what we're all about. And it gives us enough to articulate thought through a process or a topic that we're speaking to, which has promoted our ability and what we're at, which has created relationships, which has created some of that stuff that we're doing for 2020. So that's what I also want to get at is like, stop looking for a direct ROI when we talk about relationships or other things. Like you just got to understand, like, there's not always going to be the quid pro quo, right? There's something for something. There's a lot of things you're going to do, and it's very indirect. That grows your business.
And there's a lot of things you're going to do that don't grow your business at all. And it was just a learning experience. And you're just, oh, fuck, cool, write that one up.
But that is going to grow your business because now you know what not to do, which gives you time and energy to go do something else that does work. So it does help. It does make you money, right? Like now you're like the process of elimination, you know, is huge. So that's one of mine. So finding who you are, like what makes you competitive, or what makes you, what hat are you putting on, right? Like, do you consider yourself a professional? If not, are you seeking to be a professional in whatever you're doing? Just having that mindset naturally is going to help you be a lot more competitive as far as how you approach your entrepreneurship, right? Something else that I've written down here as well. And I you know, you've got pain. I've got some goals here long term. Another big one for me, and it's cliche, so it bothers me to even say it almost to a point, but because it's so true, I say it. Kind of like a clock tattoo. Okay, look,
or compass or something.
Yeah, like a compass tattoo. Like, look, they're so cliche now. However, if you've always wanted one, and that means something to you, then you should still get it.
Yeah.
So this is cliche, but because I do stand by it, and because it literally has been a foundation for me day in and day out with everything that I've done, I still want to talk about it, you know, and I try to articulate it to make it not so cliche, or hopefully I can say something, you know, in a manner that makes sure that it doesn't become cliche like I think it's going to. But this is your circle of people, right? Like, oh, the 5 people you surround yourself with is you. Yeah, cool. That's that cliche statement. And I do think it's true.
It is.
And you might be around more than just 5 people because of business, and I get that. But like your core people, 5, 6, 8 people, whatever, your core people. I want to, like, if I'm putting the right people around me, Gavin, Tosh, Alex, you, hey man, I can't keep wearing my high school varsity Letterman jacket talking about that. I can't keep just talking about the Marine Corps and what I was if I'm not applying it to what I'm doing now and getting better. Like, I can't call Gavin, you know, him and I having conversations every week, and I'm helping whatever we're doing, and like, after a significant amount of time, right? Like, he's just like, oh, hey, so you're kind of doing the same thing. Or like, if we never grew, I guarantee you, man, I'm not talking to that guy once a week. Because he doesn't have space for me.
Right.
He's not being a jerk. He's not, but I know his priorities. I know where he wants to go. And he's 25 years in the business, man. He's crushing, but he still wants more.
And he's constantly growing too.
And he's really good he's one of the guys, man. He's one of our friends where I go, man, he's got a system and he sticks to it. And I don't mean like this black and white system. I just mean his core fundamentals of who he is as a father, who he is in his profession, how he surrounds himself with people, how he treats his relationships, very important. If you are close to him, but if you are close to him, he wants productive people around him. He wants people that are bettering themselves, that are moving forward, because not only does he want to help you move forward, it's also contagious, right? And I believe the same thing. So I like just the accountability in my head, and maybe some people aren't accountable to this. Maybe some people settle. We see this a lot in relationships, right? You gain 15 pounds because you got a girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Or got someone to eat ice cream with them.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Hey, Kate and I love that shit. But I also want to make sure like I'm still progressing, right? So what I'm talking about is, you know, the type of people that I have surrounded myself with. They're very high level people that I just can't afford to be. I can have a lazy day. I can have an off day. It's all good. I mean, collectively, year in and year out, I can't be a lazy, non-functioning dude around these guys because there's no room for me at that table. They have no room for me at that table. So just being around guys that help me get more forward, right? More forward. Help me get forward. I'm using too many words here, which means I'm blabbing. Just being around guys that want to help you move forward in life, but that also are moving forward, and just that momentum of being around high level dudes, man. Like that, I do think. And so when I'm talking today about like, okay, like, yeah, always be learning, always be seeking more. I love giving a tip, not just give you that statement. Hey, always be learning. Thanks, Will. Fuck. No, I want to say, hey, listen. The 5 or 6 people that I have around me, whether I see them every day like an Eli, I talk or see him once a week like a Gavin, I talk or see him every 90 days like a Tosh. You know, they're super important people to me. I don't necessarily need to see everyone every single day, but I know that they're out there. I see them on their social media. I'm talking to them on the phone. They're always moving forward. They're always attacking their goals. They're always taking care of their families and doing and like that right there just makes me know like, hey, I'm relevant too, man. Like it gives me perspective on, hey, this is the seat at the table I have. I better be doing my part. So when I'm talking, like I want to have something, not keeping up with the Joneses. Don't get me wrong. Not like buying materialistic shit and keeping up with the Joneses. I don't mean that. But just keeping up with high-level dudes and making sure that I'm moving forward. That accountability works for me. Yep. Knowing that what people, like the people that I respect, knowing that what they think of me is important gets my ass out of bed, gets my ass to my goals, makes me do things that I don't necessarily want to do, but it's needed for the business. Yeah, dude, people that are important in my life, what they think of me matters. Yeah. And I want them to know that, hey, like the Gavins and the Toshes, dude, they've helped me. Yep. So if I'm not showing that they've helped me, well, now, like, they're just wasting their time on me. Yeah. Well, I need to show what I'm doing. And that's how I tick. So we're getting in. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep talking here. Yeah. But that's a key piece for me that makes me tick. The people that are close to me, that I love, that are important to me, what they think of me matters. And them knowing that, them seeing that they've helped me, not just me saying it, but them seeing that they've contributed, those factors, man, are super important to me. So because that's how I tick, I stay close to that and I stay in tune with that, right? Because it helps me do the shit sometimes that's not fun, that you don't want to do. I get those things done because that's in my head, man.
And it makes sense, dude. It's like, again, using the gym as an example, it's like, are you going to go get lifting advice from the skinniest dude with the bands in the corner? No, you talk to the big-ass fucking dude. Yeah. Chances are he's real fucking friendly, and he's going to help you out, and then he's going to be the one that's calling you a bitch when you're not there, and he's going to be pushing you and spotting you when you're there. It just makes sense to surround yourself with those people. And, I mean, it's funny. You see it so black and white physically in bodybuilding. You start hanging out with big dudes, chances are you're going to be the next big guy. It's no different in success in business. You start hanging out with those people. And here's the thing too, if you're the one not growing, it becomes real apparent real quick. Give it 6 months in a group of friends, you start seeing the one guy who's like left behind still asking everyone if they want to play Call of Duty. I mean, if everyone is growing, just not growing, you're still there, and everyone else is like, nah, dude, I'm doing this.
Hey, how was that event you were going to do? Oh, man, well, the weather was bad. Oh, did you reschedule it? No. Oh, so it's not even just Call of Duty. It's like, it's like just
dude,
not following through, and then those guys are going to have less and less need or want to validate for you, man, or put you on the map. And those things matter. So I think as far as like getting that initial like identity, right, of like just what makes you competitive, what makes you want to chase business, but how do you keep that more like, I think people have that, but then it gets hard, okay, and like you get to a certain level and then you start coasting and you start kind of resting. I think a lot of those guys need help. Like we're always, and I mean like society or just entrepreneurs blanket statement. We tend to talk to the new entrepreneurs, you know, and all that stuff. But what about the guys that have been in it for a couple of years that have made a little bit of money and they're coasting? It's super important of like just understanding control measures that need to be in place that continue to like move that momentum. You got to keep moving the needle. Like, oh, well, how?
You have to.
And hey, well, what if I'm the most successful guy around? You haven't looked. There's always more people you can network with or be introduced to that can keep you pushing. But for me, important people, what they think of me being good to my word, man, that's so important to me. It does push me. Pushes me big time.
For me, my daily driver per se, as far as like, why the fuck am I so obsessed every single day with like just getting shit done? Again, I think part of it comes from being lazy and just wanting to fucking get it done so that I can get there faster. But when I was about 24 years old, I remember I finally like admitted to myself and outwardly like to my wife, it came out of my mouth, like, we're going to be millionaires. Like that was the first time I ever like even let it come out of my mouth. And I remember feeling super weird when I even said it, but it happened because that was when I finally realized it was possible. I had started listening to podcasts and shit like that and hearing all these stories of all these normal people that just applied themselves at something over 5 or 10 years and then got these amazing businesses and doing really well. And I found out it was possible. And for me, just like when I did my first like bodybuilding show, the only reason I did that is because I wanted a damn 6-pack. I just wanted to know that it was possible. Now that I know,
you came in super.
Now that I know, thank you, man.
Super shredded.
Now that I know it's possible. A plus B equals C. Okay, I figured that out, right? then it's easy because it's like every day you're not doing what you know you should be doing.
True. But let's go. Okay, so there's a good lesson in here because A plus B equals C. True. However, one thing that Eli is not mentioning is you had to learn your body.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you were going through like, hey, yeah, I had to do my diet and my cardio, my exercise. Yeah. Yep, true. And being consistent. However, where you start writing your own book, where you stop reading and you start writing is, you got to get to the gym and get the training done. You got to get to the gym and get your cardio done. And, hey, how well do I respond to white rice? Is brown rice different than white rice? How's my body respond to brown rice? What about a baked potato?
It's all of that.
What about grits? Like you have to understand, like when you're looking at the types of diets you're going to use, to become successful at that level as far as hitting a bodybuilding stage. Some guys are super high fat diet.
Yep. And
some guys are like Branch Warren eating 600, 700 grams of carbohydrates a day, and he's losing weight too quickly. He just responds.
And that is such a typical business. Like that's such a good business analogy because the best way to figure that out, you got to do a whole goddamn show without changing anything.
Yeah.
And then you do the next show, make one little tweak. The next show, make one little tweak.
Yeah.
So that's like 3 to 6 months of prep just to come in flat on show day. 3 to 6 months of prep just to realize you do better on high carb, low fat.
And you got to track it. That way you know those variables, right? So it's the same thing in business. When you want to try an event or you want to try certain things in business, you got to allow those efforts to bloom, right? Like you have to be consistent enough to understand that, hey, it's not ironic. It wasn't the weather. It wasn't this. Hey, we have tried this for a consistent amount of time. And we figured out like consistently something's not working. Then you got to change something.
You may do all that work and like I said, come in flat and just ruin the whole show. But hey.
But you're not. You're ruining that show. But like, hey, no, like you're just going to be better for the next. But you again, when we talk about stop reading and start writing, there's a ton to read. There are some things about bodybuilding and prepping for a show that you're going to read and you're going to learn from. But at the end of the day, you got to go do your training. Yes. What do you respond to? Even down to the type of workout. Some guys, their muscle fibers trigger better on dumbbells than a bar.
Yep.
Like incline bench press versus incline dumbbell press. Like there's just different things that people respond to better. Hence why there's so many damn workouts out there. There's so many variations. There's so many trainers doing so many different things because at the end of the day, not everybody's going to respond. Like the ideology behind training and how muscle fibers tear and recover and shit like that. Yes, scientifically there's things there. How you get your body to trigger, how you get your body to respond to a movement that you're trying to execute, that's where there's a ton of variables.
Just trying shit.
And if you're not putting that work in, right, then you're just not going to figure out how that applies to you specifically, right? So super important, again, when we're talking about when you stop reading, start writing, same thing in business. Like you've got to start, yes, there's key fundamentals to business. There are some, but there's a lot of variables and there's just a lot of like getting stuck in the weeds on what you could try and shiny objects. More classes. More training. Hey, more of this. Like, no, man, like you got to get some of those fundamentals down and be consistent and figure out like, hey man, what's working? And then why? Like and I've been saying this all year, when like failing, I think people are like super accepting, that it's okay to fail now. I think there's been enough on Instagram and social media that like we are almost too excited to fail. Okay. Like, fuck, man. Yeah. Like, don't be that excited. Okay. Yeah. Like still understand you should be mad. Mad or frustrated. Like still be frustrated or bummed
trying to win.
That you fail, but just understand and accept that. Maybe this should be a podcast, but accepting the fact that failure is a part of the process. However, being overly excited about it because Gary Vee says that he loves failing. I mean, fine. I'm not going to speak for the guy.
He'd also scream at an 8-year-old if they got a shot on him in basketball.
Exactly. So his competitive side and like, I think he loves to fail because he knows what's going to come after it because he's a process of elimination. He's figured out something that hasn't worked, which gives him energy and motivation to try something else that he's now even more confident will work. Right. So, but with that being said, we're super okay with like failing now, in my opinion, from what I've seen. But what we don't talk about is like when something works, are you looking at that? Or are you just slapping a high five like,
no,
hey, I got a sale.
Celebrating the fucking win to even know what you did.
That's the problem. Like, I got a lead. I got a sale or I got something. Like, hey, cool, right? Like, hey, so you've done that 3 times. Like, are you seeing a pattern here? Yeah. What's working? Because if you can triple down on that, you're going to be a lot more successful a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Versus closing 12 different deals a certain way before you even open your eyes to what's happening. If you start seeing a pattern early on, you want to not necessarily put all your eggs in one basket, but you want to pay attention to where there's some momentum, and you want to pay attention to what's working, not just, okay, guys, we failed. Why?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And there's a couple statements Tosh left on his post today, man. I'm gonna read these. If you guys don't follow Tosh.crookedbutterfly on Instagram, man, like you're missing out. Super accredited dude. I'll let you kind of read about him if you like, but it's Shawn Tosh. Great guy, great person. As much as I would love to gloat for him and brag about who this guy is, that's not what he's about. And man, like, you know, I knew this guy in the Marine Corps. I'm even more proud to know him as outside the Marine Corps and just as a human being, you know, and just how far, just some of his, you know, when he's writing on Instagram or he's, you know, putting up his podcast, man, I could take one sentence from that guy and it rides me for a year. And I think about it, and the influence that he has and the ability he has to trigger a thought in some of us, I think is super powerful, man. So I'm more excited that I know him out and just as a person versus, you know, him as a Marine and his accolades there. So, you know, I don't want to do any just, I would hate to brag about his Marine Corps stuff and do him a disservice as a person, right? I think it would do him a disservice. So, but he wrote something interesting today, man, and he titled it "Refusing to be Lost," right? And it says, "I'm working on something, trying to find a way to parcel it out nice." So here's like the meat and potatoes of it. Part A: stop limiting performance based on artificial, linear, neat, cute, organized, or impertinent fabrications. Stay present, feel, observe, interpret, respond, right? Like, stop limiting performance based on artificial linear. Like, dude, this motherfucker. I fucking hate how he writes. Dude, he's so good at thought.
Yeah, I can tell.
That fucker can write a sentence. And it's like, hold on a minute. Stop limiting performance based on artificial linear. So do you know what linear is?
Linear, like, just like rule sets. Like,
sure.
Yeah, like.
But the biggest thing is just artificial. Like, don't, you know, so this is just like when you're doing your performance, like, don't limit yourself just based off of like your mind's mind, how it starts speaking to you and telling you that you've done enough or it's not like just so much to that.
So, and it kind of sounds like you're saying like, don't ignore intuition and your feel in your own gut versus you're trying to put like these cute organized little rule sets on what you're doing.
Yeah, and just or that you're good enough. You know, like if you set out to do something and you wanted to do 20 minutes of cardio, so you did 15, but you feel super good at 15, like don't necessarily talk yourself out of continuing to do your 20, right?
Yep.
Ton of different ways how you can see it. That's how I see it. You know, feel, absorb, interpret, respond. Think about that. Stay present, feel, absorb, interpret, respond. Huge. Right? By the way, I taught him all of this. Part B: only take pause for the minimum amount of mojo required to facilitate renewed action.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
It is.
Yeah.
Momentum is a critical ingredient to tenacity. Okay, like take that how you may, but you know, only take a pause for a minimum amount. So when we were talking about like, hey, I love disconnecting for a couple hours every day. And then, you know, if I got to get back to a couple emails in the evening, hey, cool, right? And then I get a shower, I go to bed, fucking ready that next day versus like overloading myself to the point to where like, you know, I need several days off or, right? Like detaching every day for half a day.
Yeah.
Because that's also like if you're taking this, like I'm taking this to a level further because I know the guy and I know how he elaborates and I know how I elaborate on his statements and I try to take it one step further for myself. But if we're taking it right at face value, only take pause for the minimum amount of mojo required to facilitate renewed action. Momentum is a critical ingredient to tenacity. So this is saying like, hey, only take what you need.
Yeah.
Right? Like once you're refreshed, right? Yeah. Like you know what big one? You know a fucking big one. Look, if you get to bed at a decent time or whatever, and you wake up and it's 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and you feel good, don't lay back down and do another 90 minutes and you wake up all groggy or whatever. Like, exactly hey, like you feel good. Don't overthink this. Yeah. You got the minimum. You wake up, you're fresh. You don't normally wake up at 6 or at 5:30, but you feel good to go. Like, hey, ride that momentum. Take that. Take that where it may.
You lose steam, man. You lose steam if you do that.
100%. Right. Yeah. So that's big. Part C. It requires significantly more energy to manage those moments than it does to deny them opportunity to manifest, especially so if you let them root.
Read that again.
It requires significantly more energy to manage those moments than it does to deny them opportunity.
He's talking about when you rest too long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just moments in general are like having to manage things versus just letting them die.
Yeah. Yep.
And like once you let something die, that rooting.
Dude, and shit sneaks in, man. If you let yourself, like, let's say you let yourself take that little extra too long a break, right? And then that allows just these extra little things to slip through because you gave yourself the perception of having time or something. So you get that call from the buddy who wants to have drinks after work or something. If you're already kind of in that rest mode, you're 100 times more likely to say yes, which, I mean, just it lets more little things slip in. You let that go unchecked for a little bit. Fuck, man. You're back to square one, starting over.
100%. Part D. Resist redefining the win during the moods. It's the mind's mind begilding you to settle for defeat as a prettied up concession as like you thinking that up, right? So read that again for those of you that are better at reading than I am. Apparently, resist redefining the win during the moods. So just take that right there.
Yeah. So when he says redefining the win, I take it to mean like, I didn't win the game, but I won this little part of it, and that's a win for me.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great question for him too. But I already know like what Tosh is thinking too. Like when you read what he writes, it's open ended too, to a point of like,
yeah. Well, it makes
he wants you to take like he's such an advocate on just wanting you to have your own thoughts.
Yeah,
wanting you to be a thinker, and I'm big on that too. I mean, I'm a pedigree of leaders like him from the Marine Corps. So I think he wants you like, hey man, however you take this and it makes you better, great. But this can also be taken as, so resist redefining the win during the moods, right? It's the mind's mind begilding you to settle for defeat.
For not an actual win.
For not an actual wins.
Yeah.
But that could also be like not even just winning the game. That could be a goal you have set.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so that could be like, I'm going to lose 60 pounds in 6 months. And because like you're in a certain mood or you're super low calorie and like it's the first time you've ever done that, and because like you're in this funk or you're in this mood, you start changing your diet to 50 or 40 or your goal to 50 or 40. Like you're redefining the win. So you're redefining your goal based off of this mood that you're in. Like that's your mind's mind talking shit to you, allowing that to be acceptable.
And
that's
tricks
where
you too, man. It
that
tricks
dirty
you.
little bitch.
Yeah,
right.
Dude,
that's
it tells
that
you,
dirty little bitch.
Hey, you did cardio 3 days this week. You're good to have that.
But what was the goal? Like when you and I talk, hey, every time you go to the gym, you're doing your 20 minutes of cardio.
Right.
Period. It's not every time you go to the gym, and if you do it every time this week, next week you don't have to. No, bitch. We said every time you go to, did you go to the gym? Oh, you did. Did you do cardio? No. Problem.
Right.
There is no reward. There is no, if you do it for the entire week, you don't have to do it next week. There is no, hey man, I went to the gym 100 times, so on 101 I don't have to. No. And there is no cherry on top, bitch. It's called life, right? Like this is just reoccurring. So, but that was big for me, man. Not that I allowed this to creep into my head. And guys understand I have a head start, right? Like I did a long time in the Marine Corps, with I had Tosh as a leader for a bit and some other guys that were extremely stellar. And, so this is kind of my pedigree, but I do like it, man. Resist redefining the win during the moods, right? It's the mind's mind begilding you to settle for defeat.
It's tricky, man.
Right? Like it's good, man.
Like it's tricky, dude.
It is. It does start playing tricks on you. It does want you to settle. It does want you to break. And this is where like controlling, just controlling your mind and controlling your thoughts and protecting them. We talk about that a lot. Like, what does that mean? But this is also where I want to provide tools, right? Like listen to his podcast, listen, read what that guy has to write. Listen to our podcast. If you're listening right now, like read what we write. You've got to be resourceful and fall back on reminders. So when you are in those moods or you are going through something difficult and you don't necessarily see your light at the end of the tunnel per se, hey, that's when your mind's mind starts creeping in those thoughts. That's when you start getting fucking weak, and that's when you got to find control measures to make sure that you have a system in play that doesn't allow that. And as much as I talk about, hey, listen, get emotional about a goal, don't get emotional about a process. Once you've got a process in play, hey, day in and day out, apply that process. However, I do understand, because I've been through a ton of processes in my life, I do understand it's extremely difficult not to be emotional during the process sometimes, okay? Like, I understand that. That's where reading, that's where falling back on wise men's words, if you know, if you want to listen to those, that's where you can be resourceful and fall back on some material like that where, hey, it's still good to read. Like, hey, stop reading, start writing. Yes, we definitely want you to start writing and going through your own trials and tribulations and finding resolve for yourself. However, still super beneficial while you're in your own, you know, contest with yourself or your goals, whatever it may be. It's still good to still read and still find resources. So when you're, you know, when you got a guy like Tosh that says, hey, when you're here, this is going to happen. When this starts happening, don't let it.
Yep.
Stick to, like, and for me, a great phrase, right? Like, die on your own sword. If you got a goal, I'm going to lose 60 pounds in 6 months. Cool. Look, man, you got to die on your own sword. Don't change it to 50. Don't change it to 40. Like, you got to do everything within your power to stick to that. And any thought of settling or not completing or whatever it may be needs to go. Now, at day number 60, and you jump on that scale, let the cards fall where they may, and then deal with it. Cross that bridge when you get there. But allowing those thoughts to kind of creep in your head during that process is not productive. However, right, like, having experience there, I understand how easy it is to let thoughts creep in and then allow those thoughts to become out of hand, right? Like, one cookie becomes one cookie every night.
You got to be super, super aware, and I don't know if it's habit or what, of just being just aware of the thoughts that come in your head. As soon as something negative comes in my head, man, I notice it. Yeah. And it's like I can choose to, like, let it stay or handle it, or, like, hey, just get the fuck out. Nope, gone.
And a lot of people aren't going to be there. A lot of people aren't, like, you've got years of entrepreneurship and self-awareness and accountability to kind of fall back on. So do I. A lot of people just don't have awareness. So understand, like, you do have to somewhat forgive yourself in the scope of not accomplishing everything you want to accomplish, or maybe you accomplished, but it was ugly. Like, maybe you lost the 60 pounds, but the last 14 were, like, rushed because you were getting in and out of your own head, and 1 week was fucked, and shit, and then you're getting back at it. Like, you end up getting your goal, but it was ugly. Understand, like, not giving up is a huge thing. Finishing strong, starting strong, like, not giving up is a huge part of it. Wanting everything to be pretty, especially when you're trying to get out there and accomplish some things that are just new for you, you can't necessarily expect that. No. What you should expect is your effort. What you should expect is your resourceability, right? Just understand, like, there's gonna be mistakes in that process, and you can't necessarily have every answer question. Like, whatever mistake you make, whatever book you read, whatever book you listened to, whatever smart person you spoke to that was helping you out, might not have ever had to handle what you just went through, okay? Like, whatever mistake you make, whatever unforeseeable circumstance happened, might just be unique to you. And then you've just got to fall back on fundamentals on how to identify that, and then cope with it, handle it, and then move forward. So not every answer is going to be there for you prior to your process. So if you go through something that no one's gone through before, or your head's in a different place, it's not necessarily because you didn't resource enough. You just got to understand that some things are going to be unique for you. And also, some things that are easy for some people are hard for others. So, like, when I was talking to people about boot camp, dude, some of the things that guys had mentioned to me that were super hard, well, dude, that's predicated on their fears. Some of that stuff was a breeze for me. Right? Like, I've had guys tell me that OC spray, which is like super strong pepper spray, they would rather get shot again. They had been shot before with a bullet. Dude, I get it, and, like, it sucked, but I was okay. I've gotten OC sprayed 6-7 times, dude, with different units, and, like, and as a leader, you're not going to say, "Oh, I've done that before, I'm not doing it again." No, if you're a leader, you're going first, motherfucker. Period, right? But some things that guys kind of had me worked up about wasn't necessarily a big deal to me. So this is why stop reading, start writing. This is also why it's important, because, look, man, like, you're just different. You're you. There's going to be some things, that you're going to find out on your own just by going through the process, man.
Yep.
And not everything of what someone else says, like you got to remember, they're looking through their lens, through their scope.
Yeah.
Predicated on their fears and what was hard for them. So don't necessarily overplan for stuff that maybe, might have been difficult for someone. Understand that you going through your process is the biggest teacher there is.
It is.
It's you having the ability to fall back on fundamentals to stay the course.
Yeah. And that's where you can gather your data by doing shit. And then you'll learn exponentially faster when you know what to learn, because a lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. So you read some leadership books, you read some startup books, whatever, you start doing your shit,
dude,
and then you're like, oh damn, I'm actually great at what I thought I had to learn about, but I'm terrible at this part.
Or there's stuff you didn't even think about. A great example for this?
Yeah, that's mostly it. Yeah.
The fucking Gracies with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
UFC 1.
Yep.
Ken
Holy
Shamrock
shit.
Walking in, juiced out of his mind, shredded, just a head basher, bro. Headhunter, head basher. And he wasn't just some tough guy. He had bare knuckle fights. He had dude, he was a fighter.
Legit.
He was not some guy that was just all roided up that they threw in the ring. No. He was a fighter.
Yeah.
And that was a tournament style. Yeah. So Gracie beat several guys to get to the championship, including Ken Shamrock. Twice he beat him. You don't know what you don't know. Like, people had no idea about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and what the Gracies were doing, man. And, like, who could have prepared any of those guys for that stuff? And even if you would have told Ken, he might have been like, that guy is half my size.
Yeah.
I appreciate the heads up. Get out of my fucking face,
He's
right?
got to get his own data, man.
You got to get your own data. But, dude, that was such a message.
Yeah.
Everyone went back to the drawing board. Everyone was getting into jiu-jitsu if they were even half serious about being an ultimate fighter. But again, it just goes to show, man, like if you're not getting in there, if you're not seeing it and feeling it and going through it, like it's not going to resonate, and you're not going to know where to make those incremental adjustments, right?
Yep.
I mean,
and those phases do come, like, once you apply, and then it's like, okay, I do need, and we'll do this periodically in our business. We'll definitely be taking steps back sometimes from our day-to-day business to make sure that we have time to learn and apply and just get better at whatever that next step is for us. So there's 100%. Definitely those ebbs and flows. And you just have to be ready on that. And that's where it becomes not being emotional of your goal. And it's just, things just don't go the way that you're planning, guys.
We got this saying in the Marine Corps.
What?
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, big time.
That's a good fundamental right there.
Well, it is, because you are like, and it's even in Marine Corps fitness reports, man, like they expect you to improvise, adapt, and overcome. They grade you on how well you handle adversity and unexpected situations. You're graded on that, which means not only are you, what the grading system means, oh, hey, by the way, we expect you to perform in the theater of not knowing shit, but still handling it well. Understanding like, hey, we know that we can't teach you everything. We know there's going to be things that you have to adhere to on the battlefield and as a leader that are unexpected, that are just, we could not have prepared for, that unfold. Your ability to manage your stress, your ability to lead, your ability to improvise, adapt, and overcome, and to get creative on how you handle situations and being fundamentally sound, you're graded. And if you're graded on something in the Marine Corps, that's an expectation, by the way. I don't know how society works. If they're grading you on it in the Marine Corps, it's an expectation, which means, hey, man, this is expected of you. We expect you to perform under the most unpredictable circumstances. Fuck, man. But guess what? Like in life, it's the same thing, man. There's things that you and I go through in business that maybe people haven't gone through yet that we know. And we just got to kind of put our heads down and face it and do the best that we can and get through it. And this also, all of this stuff. So everything I'm talking about today, right? Improvising, adapting, overcoming, being resourceful, and yes, listening as much as you can, and get it, having Tosh say things like that helps me, and so when you are emotional, you feel yourself kind of getting emotional, like be resourceful to find people that can talk some reason into you, and hey, you're gonna feel this, right? Hey, you're gonna feel this, like pregnancy. You're not gonna know until you go through pregnancy. Obviously, I can't speak to it because I don't have babies. However, how they prep you for pregnancy, hey, you're gonna feel this. Hey, this is going to happen. Hey, first trimester is this, second trimester. Now, are there going to be things during your pregnancy that might be unique to you? Yeah. And even if they're not unique to you, even if you have a normal cookie cutter pregnancy, it's still hard. You got to go through it. And As much as people tell you first trimester's hard, maybe first trimester was a breeze for you, but third was weird. Who knows? It's got to be your data. So improvising, adapting, overcoming, understanding how important your experience is to yourself and your own data, not allowing yourself to get inside of your own head too much, right? So don't let yourself talk yourself out of a goal or whatever you have going on, right? Like when we were talking about Tosh's statement, your circle of people, huge, right? Critical. And then my last piece to this, my last little piece, I'll let you have the end of this. You're welcome.
Shit, now I gotta come up with something to say.
My last piece, and it always kind of boils down to it, right? But like your impression, your thoughts, your respect, your integrity with yourself is huge. Right? Like at the end of the day, as much as I appreciated Tosh or you or whatever, hey, look, man, I got to be able to find some things within me. I got to be able to nut up and perform and what I tell myself at night when it's quiet. The conversations I have with myself, I'm very careful. And if I need to call myself out, I call myself out. But what I think of myself, how I carry myself, how hard I push myself to have the integrity to know like that I've achieved something that was actually hard, not just getting a trophy for something and they go, hey, congratulations, you're this.
Yeah.
And I gloat about it knowing it wasn't hard for me.
Yeah.
And like, hey, is that award even accredited? Or should I just go ahead and gloat about it because it looks cool? What does that say to my integrity? Everyone else is going to go, hey, cool, man. Like, that's a great award, man. You guys are awesome. But maybe it's not. Maybe behind the scenes, it's not a great award. And it's not accredited. And you don't have to be that substantial to get it. Do you allow yourself to gloat and market that and do certain things? Now it's okay to market. If you get an award, you get an award. Be respectful. I had to talk to Tosh about that, man. Yeah. I was having some heartburn over something, and he was able to talk to me and give me a different perspective. But at the same time, okay, so market those awards and cool. But if you start believing your own bullshit too much,
that's the problem, right there.
Like that's where you got to be super careful, because if you actually, dude, there's things I earn, man, in the gym. Like if I get 2 extra reps, because I hit 405 on the incline.
Yep.
No one hears about it until now.
Yep.
Right? But it feels, because I know I earned it, man.
Yeah,
I know like the weeks and weeks and weeks it took to just add 25 pounds to the bar.
Yep.
And then get it for 2 more than I thought I would. Like that's, man, I've earned that, you know?
It's
and like,
real.
But dude, I don't necessarily need everyone to hear about it. Just the feel I get with myself in that moment, knowing I did it, gives me self-respect.
Yep.
Allows me to carry my integrity with myself very highly, which again, dude, when I got to fall back on myself to put that work in, well, I respect who I am.
Yeah,
I respect who I want to be. I respect the image that I want to have. Hey, man, at the end of the day, I got no problem falling back on myself, understanding and trusting that I'm going to be able to get it done. And I think, you know, before you're reading too much and before you're resourcing people too much about all this stuff, like, where are you at with you?
Yeah.
Because if you can't even get your mind right and your body right, whatever else you're trying to accomplish that requires reading and resourcing sounds substantial to me. But your mind and your body are not right. Okay, I think today we just solved your starting point.
Yep.
I think I know where you need to start.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
That's the starting point, and it's a finishing point, man. Like, just having that self-respect, that's what keeps you going day to day, dude. Like, when you have that internal just respect for yourself and confidence in what you do, and that even if you're not there 1,000%, you're going to get there someday, having that self-respect is literally what gets you out of bed. And it's like, no, hey, Eli, you already hit snooze twice. Get the fuck up, bro.
Yeah.
You know, like, those conversations become super easy when you just respect who you are as a person.
And when it's like taking what you need, right? Like when he says, hey, take just enough, you know, for what you need to get your mojo going. Like, hey, you got to have integrity with you there. Like, yeah, I could tell my wife, right? And you can tell your wife, like, oh, man, I've just been working so hard. I just need extra sleep, you know, like, and then they give it to you. But did you really need it? Like, just the integrity of taking what you need.
Yeah.
Right? But it starts and finishes with you. So, like, hey, all right, like, if you're in a bad mood and you got to just vent, I vent to you sometimes. I'll be in a bad mood and, like, right? Like, I got some sand in my ass crack. And
I'll vent in short outbursts.
Yeah. But for me, dude, I literally say it out loud. Hey, Eli, I'll be mad for like an hour, and I'll be fine.
Yep.
Hey, or I'll, you know, like if it's at nighttime, we end up laughing it off at the end. I'm like, hey, dude, tomorrow's a new day.
Yep.
I'm not just saying that so Eli knows that I'm not going to kill anybody or not kill him. No, I'm making that real and holding myself accountable, right? Like, hey, tomorrow's a new day. Like, I'm also putting an expectation of myself of like, okay, I'm done talking on the phone with Eli. We solved the shit storm for tonight. Whatever was going wrong, you know, okay, I had poopy pants, so I fucking, you know, I talked about it. I fucking got it out of my system.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting off the phone. It's still kind of in me, but hey, man, tomorrow's a new day. That means, hey, whatever I need to do, take a shower, go to bed, get some rest, whatever I've got to do. But hey, tomorrow it's a new day, man, and I'm moving forward. And that's also my loyalty to the business and to the brotherhood and the friendship. That hey, man, I got to perform too.
And
I can't just sit here and complain. And yourself. So when you've had enough rest, or if if you are mad, or hey, look, if you do need a day off from the gym, happily take it. But if you feel guilty taking a day. Now, I get it. There are people that are just neurotic. Okay, let's leave them out because they're the exception, and there's very few that are actually like this, okay? Yeah. If you feel guilty for taking a day, it's because you haven't worked hard enough. That might be your own barometer telling you, like, hey, man, I just haven't put enough work in. Yeah. But for me, man, like, if I take a day where, like, I take a Sunday and I'm just going to watch some football and, and eat a little bit of snacks with my daughter or whatever it may be, like, it's a joyful time for me.
And your body's craving it. You've earned it.
And I don't do it every Sunday, man. Yeah. I don't do it every Sunday. I don't do it twice. I do it when I feel it or I want it, whatever, like, and I've earned it. But when I need that day off from the gym and I need that day off of, like, doing work, sometimes it's like, hey, man, no work today, no gym today. I'm going to have some snacks with my daughter. We're going to watch some football and some anime. Dude, it is super resetting because subconsciously, man, like, I've earned it, so I'm happy to take it. Now, I've also got to have the integrity. Like, all right, cool, man, but that next day, that switch goes back on, and you like, utilize the break you just gave yourself. Turn that shit back on, get back on there, and get after it, right?
Self-control, man.
Dude, great way to, like, I love how I need to talk for 20 minutes, and then you go, self-control.
Self-control, man.
God damn it.
Self-control, man.
Apparently our podcast could have been 5 minutes. I could have just read Tosh's thing. I could have read a sentence from Tosh and a statement from you and been there. But guys, again, with all the advice we've given today about resourcing good people and being around proactive people that are after it, that helps you with your momentum and just long-term payoffs and feeling some pain, all this boils down to still, man, starting and finishing with you, how you see yourself, how you respect yourself, the integrity you have to take what you need, but then get back after it. If you struggle with some things with you and you're looking at doing something that's big enough where you have to read about it and resource about it, make sure your body and your mind are right before you actually start approaching that. Because if you're fundamentally not sound with who you are and your person, I'm not sure how you're going to be able to take on more and be successul, right? So you've got to start here, and I think that's a big deal.
It's a good way to wrap it up, man.
I appreciate that.
Do what he said.
Appreciate that. Happy Thursday, guys.
See you guys.
We got some stuff on Friday, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to, which is tomorrow, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to take it back at this. But if you guys do not hear us, please don't have a terrible day.
We'll definitely be back Monday.
Well, we got 37 other episodes you can listen to, and you can tune in on Monday. We'll be here.
We're so kind. Whole 37 other episodes.
I try.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Later, guys.